In the immediate aftermath of World War II, the British Army took stock of its future requirements and decided it was going to need three families of vehicles. The FV100 series was going to be a group of vehicles in the 80 to 100 ton range. FV200 series, they're in the middleweight, 60 to 80 ton. And at the bottom end of the scale, the 300 series were going to be a meagre 40 to 50 tons. Shortly after they came up with this great idea, an attack of sanity happened. They decided that the FV100 series just was not going to fly, and they nixed that idea pretty quickly. The FV200s were going to follow shortly thereafter, but there was a catch. That catch was IS-3. IS-3, when it appeared in 1945, scared the bejesus out of the Western powers. What they saw was a potential future opponent that had wonderfully sloped armour, nice pike nose front, big wide tracks for mobility, and a very big gun. It turned out in actuality it wasn't all that great a tank, but of course in the West they didn't know that. So they took another look at the FV214 and they decided that that heavy gun tank was going to be put into production, and it became what we know today as Conqueror. Now this particular Conqueror was originally built as one of 10 FV221 Caernarfons. Now what this was, you basically take a Conqueror chassis, you put a Centurion turret on the top, you gave this to the troops and they would get some practice in operating vehicles of this size. Also gave them an opportunity to troubleshoot some of the transmission power plant issues that may have occurred. Eventually, towards the end of Conqueror's production cycle, 7 of these vehicles were sent to the Royal Ordnance Factory in Dalmoor near Glasgow in Scotland, and they were converted to Conqueror Mark II standards by the installation of the turret. As a result, these were probably the best Conquerors ever made because at the end of the production line they had fixed pretty much all of the bugs. The one thing that they didn't change was the driver's periscopes. We'll look at that a little bit later. What we have at the front is a crew compartment with the driver in the front, turret, 360 degrees rotation in the middle, and the engine at the back. Front armour plate, 130 millimeters, 76 millimeters down under the front. 2 standard headlights, wing mirrors, and in the front stowage boxes you've got your handles for fire extinguishers. The hull sides are covered with 2 sets of side skirts commonly known as bazooka plates. The upper set is affixed in the traditional manner to the sides of the upper hull. The lower set is mounted directly onto struts which attach to the hull sides. Now the Boffins at R&D figured that together with the 2 inches of hull armour, the side skirts in addition would be sufficient to stop the 122mm shell of an IS-3. Now they never had the opportunity to actually try this out with a captured IS-3, so we don't know for sure if it worked. However, we do know that after Conqueror was removed from service and it was used as a hard target, that training APDS ammunition from Chieftain was able to go in one side, through the tank and out the other. The wheels are of a complete steel outer exterior. They are 3-part wheels, an outer half, an inner half, and there is an outer rim. In between all 3 pieces is where you find the rubber. The idea was that it was going to be very efficient on the rubber. You didn't need to replace it as much. In actuality, it turned out it was such a pain to replace the rubber. It was a lot easier just to get rid of the entire wheel. They replaced the wheel. You have steel wheels on steel tracks, 102 links per side, and all of a sudden this is not the most subtle vehicle for sneaking around in. You weren't going to come up behind somebody quietly. The wheels are mounted on bogies, Horseman suspension with coil springs at the top. One wheel will go up or the other wheel will go up. If both had to go up at the same time, you had very, very high compression rates. In order to change one of the wheels, what you'd have to do is firstly get a ramp to compress the spring. So you put the ramp in front of the track, you drive the tank forward a little bit, the ramp lifts the wheel up, compresses the spring. What you then have to do is take a metal strut, which fits in a component way at the back here, and it basically keeps the spring in compression. As you roll forward a little bit more, the ramp is removed and you now have a free hanging wheel that you can then pull off and replace. To check track tension, what you would first do is neutral steer in such a manner that all the loose track was gathered on top of the top return on one particular side. You then apply the handbrake to lock the sprocket in position. You then check to make sure that there is a 1-inch sag between the numbers 2 and 3 return rollers. To change the tension, what you have to do is unlock this locking plate here. This just slides right out. And you then have in here a very large hex nut, which is screwed forwards and backwards to move the idler wheel forwards and backwards. As the track wore on over its lifetime, up to 5 links could be removed before the track had to be replaced as a whole. The tracks themselves are 31 inches wide and made of a manganese alloy. Whatever manganese is, I have no idea, but it must be good.